Good evening and welcome to our Demon Days. October is all about playing demo versions of games this time. It's a new concept for the game club. Curious how it will work out. We will start with Roadwarden. It's a fairly new game. I think it's text-based. Very much. There we go. A living human is made of a shell, pneuma and soul. The undead are shells moved by wild pneuma, with no soul to tame it. I'm not sure screenshots, Steam screenshots work in demos. Steam claims it should, but at least in this... Let's enter. Heading. Font basic or pixel? Easier to read, pixel matches the illustration. Full screen, narration, text speed, tutorials show. Okay, looks solid for settings. Let's start a new game. Everyone knows to stay away from the wilderness. Most people would never risk a lonely journey. Road wardens not only accept the struggle, they embrace it. They deliver messages, assist merchants, burn human corpses, and, if possible, get rid of the beasts and highwaymen. They live on the road, die young, or retire early. It's a dangerous job, but a respectable one. And it pays well. And then I get the first options. Eric, if you're still around, can you tell me how the sound mixing is, please? The music is too loud or something else is off. My options are: I leave the safety of the city walls, and I still have my doubts. I still have my doubts about leaving the city, so I stay in this screen. Okay, let's start a new game. I leave the safety of the city walls. Please select the difficulty mode. This choice can't be altered later on. We have casual, standard and restrictive. Casual is focused on the story, no time limit, more cash at the start. Some quests are more forgiving. Standard is for those familiar with RPGs, 30-day time limit and regular rule set. And restrictive is for returning road wardens, 30-day time limit, increased nighttime damage. I have no clue. I am going with standard for the demo version. Now, we got a screen on the left showing a graphic. We got a menu on the right. And there's a lot of text in the middle I'm going to read to you. The wall is still standing. There are no wolves around, no stench of blood. Good signs. This should be the place you're looking for. You are supposed to meet with a group of soldiers, but you hear no voices, no sounds of labor. The gate is ajar, but the camp isn't safe. It may keep away the goblins and pebblers, but not beastfolk, nor trolls, and the night is near. Your palfrey breathes heavily. It had a long day. I could just look for another shelter. I need to look around cautiously. I dismount and sneak to the gate. Let's peek inside. I'm always not sure if I should read all the options out loud or just the one I choose. Not sure what's making for a better experience. For this I go with I dismount and sneak the gate. Let's peek inside. Your heavy boots hit the ground and the pain of the long ride finally catches up with you. You stretch out. bringing you back and legs comfort. All you want now is a table, a decent chair, a nice mug of beer, and some warm stew. With any luck, your eggs won't be needed here. I got stats on the right side. I have 30 minutes before dusk. My vitality is at 3 or 4. I feel well. And I got a tutorial box, take care of yourself. If you're hurt or exhausted, some actions won't be available to you. The weaker you are, the higher the chance you'll die in combat. I approach the gate slowly. Oh, and nice, the image slowly unfolds. If it is a military camp, it doesn't look apart. Plenty of wasted space. The fire pit is cold. Few people are sitting at the table, tired and disheartened. They're looking in different directions, paying no attention to one another. One of them is holding a cup. After a moment you notice the quiet humming. You recognize the melody of a light-hearted drinking song from the city harbor. Can I click few people? It's sort of highlighted, but it doesn't seem to be interactive, nor is anything on the map or image of the scenery. I could just look for another shelter. I need to look around cautiously. They don't look like much of a threat I can enter. That's what I'm going with. It takes them a few breaths to glance in your direction. The first person greets you with a wave of his hand. There are bags under his eyes. His beard is messy. Despite his simple shirt, he's wearing durable, decent boots. A mace with a head covered in iron hangs at his side, but he doesn't reach for it. There's an archive in the menu. Later. I take a look at the second soul. Just like you, she's wearing a gamson, but hers is a bit loose, as if she took it off a corpse. Her head is shaven, as if she's protecting herself from flesh-eating bugs. Oh! I'm sorry, I had to sneeze. Her eyes are weary, yet kind. She smiles. Considering the squad was sent here half a year ago, these two surely look the part. Though there should be more of them. 8, you believe. I let them speak first. It's nice to see an unharmed traveler in this good-forsaken shithole. Makes me just a tiny bit hopeful. The bearded man's voice is strong, yet timid. You'll be staying the night with us, I guess? We're soldiers, he and I, adds the armored woman. The moment switches from half asleep to relaxed. We'll do our best to keep the camp safe, but if you were to take the first watch, it would be a huge help. Travelers ought to help each other, wouldn't you say? You think for a moment, to fully rest, you'd need a good sleep. Oh, do I want to take watch? I'm exhausted. The man looks away. If you say so, though, better keep your eggs nearby. The nights here can get spooky. I'd say sinister, the other soldier snorts. I ask them about their lieutenant. You wonder how to phrase your questions. I got icons. Friendly, playful, distance, intimidating, and vulnerable. Whenever you meet new people, you can influence how they perceive you by selecting one of the attitudes. I'm being playful. I'm sure you're busy, so if you could just introduce me to your lieutenant. The armored soldier spares you a polite smile. Next time, better schedule a meeting. This place gets really crowded these days. He stands up. He pays little attention to the sword at her side. I figured you aren't here on a walk. Let's say it's me you need to speak with. Are you a messenger? Did you lose your mount? Or are you looking for help? I am your new Roadwarden. My horse is waiting outside. Really? The soldier in the shirt leans forward. That explains how you got here in one piece, all by yourself. Better bring your beast here, adds the lieutenant. We have no hay, but I bet it dreams of dropping its saddle. A long pause. I'm Tulia, by the way. She reaches out her hand. I'm going with maybe a trap. I gesture for her to stop, pretending to be embarrassed. I should wash myself first, but you can call me... Discordia. The lieutenant stands with her hand out, but then raises her arms with an awkward smile. Of course, just keep your horse away from the tents. He steps away. We don't need to smell its dung. We should also prepare for the night. The soldier in the shirt also rises to his feet. We've no tent to spare. You'll have to use a blanket or something. I should get used to sleeping on the ground anyway. He walks through the gate. The mount looks around and snorts anxiously. Not many humans could ride a horse. It's not only taller than you, but also bulky, as heavy as it's strong. You can get in the saddle within a single breath, but most people wouldn't know where to even begin. From every side, it's a wall of flesh. Horses were brought to the Dragonwoods from the conquest in the south. They can trot for a long time, but won't outrun some of the local monsters. Your pathway needs you to survive, but without it, you too would be lost. It's my only companion here. I wanted to feel at ease. Yes, this is the music of the game, Eric. It takes a few steps toward you, scolding you with another snort. You scratch the bottom of its neck with strength and confidence, just the way it likes it. Humans see useful animals and even pets as monsters in disguise. Getting emotionally attached to them is believed to lead humans to their doom, but you know that horses need companionship. I speak to it gently and lead it to the camp. You end up next to the fire pit. Removing the saddle makes the horse nicker with relief. You take a couple of minutes to examine its back, just in case. But the riding equipment is not that heavy for such a strong animal. With enough time, it starts to chafe. You wish it had something better to eat than this shabby grass. You should look for an inn. I need to unpack. We haven't brought that many things, and you lost one of the sacks while fleeing the Crimson Corpse Eaters. First of all, you have no rope left, but maybe the soldiers could share one. It shouldn't cost more than a dragon bone. Aside from the travel set, you own a few valuable possessions, essentially for a trade. So now is the time to define my character. Am I a fighter, a mage, or a scholar? Fighter would be, I spent my savings on decent combat equipment. I have a fine gamson, an axe made of steel, and a reliable crossbow with crowels. Mage. I have talismans that help me use my powers, as well as an iron axe and a worn gamson. Scholar. I carry writing instruments and alchemical ingredients, as well as an iron axe, a worn gamson, and a healing potion. I could also learn more about the classes, but I'm going with Scholar for now. Taking hits will damage your armor. You can then fix it in various settlements. My armor is currently at 2 of 4. And we have 15 minutes to dusk. Open your inventory to see your possessions. Okay, let's look at the archive first. Okay, this is basically all the text that's been happening, I suppose. There's also a journal tracking my complete quests, and there's bestiary already filled in with creatures that I haven't met yet. That's handy. And there's a glossary of stuff coming along in the game. There's a lot of reading possible, I suppose, if one feels like. Okay, taking a look at the inventory now. Unless you're occupied with another task, you can eat food, drink potions, and use your items from this menu. You can examine your possessions at all time. I have food rations, I have a healing potion, I have a pouch with coins. And I have alchemical ingredients, a travel set, writing instruments, Most Northerners are illiterate, but they are happy to meet someone who can write a letter in their name. Okay. Turn. You unpack and inspect your belongings. Your water skin isn't pierced, the spare clothes are still there. Just in case, you take a look at your wooden bowl and mug, your cape, tinderbox, bandages, food rations, knife. Nothing special or too cumbersome. From time to time, your routine helps you avoid mistakes, but this doesn't make it any more exciting. I return to the soldiers. They're at the table again, observing your beast and chatting between themselves. Your stomach growls at the sight of them, eating out of wooden bowls. There's no meal for you, but you can sit down on a tree log. I take some of my own rations. Keeping your stomach full will make you stronger. Starvation won't allow you to restore vitality while resting. You can find your supplies in the inventory. In the last inn you got a smelling loaf of dark bread, decorated with sunflower seed. Tastes great, even by itself. When on the road, most people have to think about themselves. Soldiers live with and for their companions, constantly on the move from one part of the realm to another, making sacrifices to protect their group as they face dozens of hideous creatures. Their lives are filled with discipline, hardship and camaraderie. Roadwardens, on the other hand, learn how to work by themselves. They seldom engage in open combat, patrolling the same roads for years. That helps the settlements stay in touch, but also maintain commerce, settle down, forge friendships. And there are no laws to follow, they use their own judgment. Different responsibilities, different lifestyles. I eat slowly, enjoying myself. In the meantime, I speak with Turia. Nourishment for 4. She's focused and chooses her words carefully. She looks away only when she gathers her thoughts. I can only say as much as I know, and that's not much. She nods towards the other soldier. As you can see, there is not a lot of us left. At the beginning of summer, there were 8 of us, including our previous lieutenant. 5 are dead, 1 has run away in tears. We are also strangers in this land, adds her companion. Any piece of information may help me do my job. The man leans forward, his legs shake nervously. He sounds like a kid asking a bard to sing one more story, tell a joke or do a magic trick, whatever it takes to escape from boredom. His untrimmed beard hides a much younger face than you originally thought. What did the official tell you? I expect not that much. No soul governs these lands. I share what I consider to be relevant. You tell the soldiers how little guidance you've received. Since this area is too far away from Ovlevan to keep it under control, you were warned that it's untamed and unknown. Who knows how many villages, bandits or monsters may be found in these unmapped hills and forests. From time to time, new people come here to look for boundless opportunities. Most of them never return. Do they turn into walking corpses or find what they're looking for? No soul could tell me, so I was looking for your guidance. The lieutenant drinks from her cup and crosses her legs, ankle on knee. Seeing her chair makes you doubt she'll ever find a comfortable position. Where should we start? Okay, I can talk about the peninsula, asking about the previous Roadwarden, asking for a spare rope, asking about the squad, asking how she became lieutenant, what her mission was. And there's a sort of tooltip or hint saying, before I continue my journey, I need to ask him about the peninsula, the Roadwarden, and the rope. That seems like a lot of guidance. Let's start with the rope. You're in luck. He heads towards one of the crates and moves aside a large linen sack, revealing a rope. He brings it back and nonchalantly sits down on her chair. Take it, I was planning to leave it behind. I take a closer look. And rope, a regular rope made of hemp fibers. I take it and offer some food in return, or I can buy it for nothing. Buy it for 0. Julia nods. For now you leave the rope on the table. should I know about the peninsula? I'll tell you what I know, and you'll be the judge, says the lieutenant. How long did it take you to get here from the city? On a decent palfrey, I'd guess it would be 3-4 days. When you confirm, she continues. From here, you can reach the coast in about a day, as long as you don't make any stops. Do you know the situation? Why no ships can get here? You nod. The sea route allows Hof-Levant officials to keep in touch with the coastal villages, collect taxes, move the soldiers, collect lumber, deliver tools. But maintaining order on a wild coast, such as this one, is like filling the ocean depths with coins. Because of the rocks, you can hardly stop a ship 5 miles from the shore, and boats can't get much closer. He nods. I don't know much about fishing, but there's not that many people living by the shore, and they don't crave to stay in touch with the city folk. As she pauses, her companion carries on. No soul from the north ever came to the camp, but when we travel to the roadside inn, part of the north, they're happy to trade and to play dice. Hey, Heiko. Why not just stay on one of the settlements? The man clears his throat. I mean, you know, we're to guard this road. This camp is our post. And well, he turns toward Julia. He lowers her voice. Don't take it the wrong way, Discordia, but are you a devout soul? Lots of texts. I'm choosing my religion. I could be part of the United Church. Like most city folk, I believe that people should unite their strength to overcome the threats of nature and dark magic. Everyone will be judged for both good and evil deeds. Or I can be part of the Order of Truth. For many years, I've supported a monastery that does its best to advance mankind's spiritual growth, artistry, herbalism, and magical research. I follow the teachings of an Order of Truth. Or I'm from a small village. For me, the freedom of shell, pneuma, and soul are the main virtues of life. My community is unique and independent, and so are its members. I have a place in my fellowship. I have a strong connection to nature and spirits and follow the path of my ancestors. Some of my beliefs may be considered sinister and treacherous by city folk. You'd probably call me a pagan. There's no evidence of the right's existence, and all the mystical tales are explained by magic. No, I'm not. I follow the teachings of an Order of Truth, that's what I'm going with. Oh, I see. She hesitantly looks away. I don't know much about that River of Faith, but I'm sure we're not that different. I may unite myself, she says, with a sort of pride in her voice. So she follows the United Church. Maybe just explain what you were thinking of. The people here are disquieting. Every few words, she taps the table with her finger. The traditions won't help them negotiate with the officials here. Here, she starts to draw lines with her index finger as if she's pointing at an invisible map. The peninsula is connected with roads, like a big circle. In the northwest, you'll find a weird village at a bog. It's not exactly pagan, I don't think. It even has a priest who claims to be an eremite. You're not. You mean the fellowship. They do crazy shit, her companion chips in. They use the dead to cut down trees and dig in soil. Once I saw it, I begged to never return there. I see. You've heard tales such as this one since you were a child. If an isolated settlement manages to survive without a city's influence, customs and traditions grow more and more alien. Every generation learns how to adapt to the dangerous conditions they have to deal with, and the rustic, pagan traditions muddy the river of faith. The United Church often warns its members about the crazy druids, necromancers, and blood mages, the bringers of doom, the traitors to humankind. Any monsters worth mentioning, anything that could catch my mount. He saw all sort of beasts. The man starts to count on his fingers. Goblins, wrens, cats large and small, runners, howlers, wolves, spiked boars, muffled eaters, griffins. But he managed to stay away. Sam could catch up with most mounts. Julia glances at her companion. Though Parfrey should be fine. The trees are so tall that the flying creatures keep to the coast and mountains. There's not that many humans around, and the animals are busy fighting among themselves. They fight more for food than territory. The soldier cracks his knuckles. Don't provoke them and ride fast, just count on luck. This has been the West, if I remember correctly. Were you able to speak with these necromancers? You can see why we were not eager to go there if we could avoid it, the lieutenant chuckles. Maybe they'll be more welcoming to a roadwarden. The roads are dangerous, with little to no shelters. People need your help. The man in the shirt turns a bit and points a finger to the northwest. If you're heading to the end of that village, you'll get to an inn first, and soon. We're not. Part of the north is a safe place. You can talk with the innkeeper or the guards, ask them about the road. And how about the east? He stares off across the camp. Hard to tell, we went there only once. There are hills, forests, rivers. We saw a tunnel sculpted in leaves and branches, but we didn't enter it. Wilderness all around. That's all I need to know. You know what, I'm afraid we can't do more for you. Any ideas what happened to the previous road warden? Tulia takes a deep breath. Aren't you a bit late for a rescue mission? We haven't heard from him for almost half a year. The soldier speaks for a bit between themselves, trying to get their story straight. They confirm that he had stopped by their camp a few times, but stopped showing up at all in early summer. The bearded soldier starts to scratch the table with the tips of his knife without looking at you. I don't remember his voice. Always busy, drowning in things to take care of. He would sit somewhere, sharpen a sword, fix his loud mail, clean clothes, write notes on that wax table of his. Yep. And leave at dawn. Unlike us, Asterion never gets bored. Yuya lets out a joyless chuckle. He's secretive, but some of the locals speak about him warmly. Maybe he just didn't like us. Sounds like you're not sure if he's dead or not. If anyone knows, they won't tell us. Maybe someone is keeping him in a basement. The man coughs with passion. We haven't seen him or his Saurian. Something ate them, I bet. The officials have hired you, right? They don't expect him to return. Richer road wardens often use four-legged, meat-eating Saurians as their mounts. They have to be tamed and trained since they're hatching, but unlike horses, can easily defend themselves from many monsters. At least your palfrey is fast and reliable, and won't suddenly sink its teeth into an innocent passerby. You know what he was looking for. Maybe he left you a message. Neither one of us had any insight into his dealings, says Julia. My predecessor left me no clues. We also took a look at Asterian's stuff. Wait, she raises her open palm. I almost forgot. She stands up and heads to a nearby tent. He has kids in a village near Hovlevan. I was planning to take all his things there. A pouch, a second spear, a decent bow, some potions, quite treasure. He glances at you, but I would much prefer to bring them the truth about their father. So you want me to find out what happened to him in exchange for his stuff? Here's a catch. She dusts off the hilt office. We've hired a messenger to ask the commanders for further orders. Since she hasn't returned and you know nothing about her, we either ran away or something happened to her. He sighs with resignation. We're meant to stay here until fall. What do you think? Come see us. Tell us what you learned about the man. And we'll get back to Hovlevan together. You think about your real message. You were planning to return to Hovlevan in the early fall anyway. If he's alive, I don't think he's going to be happy about me taking away all of his possessions. New journal entry finds Roadwarden. Use your journal to see the lists of quests. True. But he's considered dead. I doubt he'd begrudge you anything, and who knows, you may just find his shell laying on the roadside tomorrow. He wears mail, uses a spear, mostly, maybe 5 feet tall, but stout. Long red beard, short hair, pale face, rarely smiles. He glances at her companion, but after he adds nothing, she sits down and stretches out her legs. So, find out what happened to him, dead, alive, left, just let me know. Anything I should know about this camp? The story is brief. Some merchants built the camp to have an extra stop for mules and donkeys just between the inn and the southern villages. There's plenty of grass here and a pond nearby. As the peninsula grew more dangerous, the camp stood abandoned from time to time, serving as a shelter for travelers. Bandits came here in spring, further paralyzing the exchange of information between the northern and southern settlements. Since these highwaymen are no more, the situation may reverse. Time will tell. You can sleep here wherever you want, the man concludes their tale. Though don't expect to wake up without pain in your back. If you were me, where would you go next? The soldier answers quickly. To the inn, of course. He grabs his empty mug. The one northwest from here. If you can't afford the room, the main hall is free of charge. Locals rarely gather there. The northern road is much more traveled, mentions Tulia. But the hunters will tell you about this and that, and you have a chance to introduce yourself. The innkeeper can listen and knows many souls. Any tips on how I can make a good first impression on him? He smirks. Avoid cheap jokes. Stick to trade, don't waste his time. Show him that he can be relied on. Alright, I know everything I need. Are you sure? Says the bearded man. We may not be around the next time you come here. We should prepare for the night anyway. We very much should, Tulia sighs with relief, and you'll need a lot of sleep on your journey. I stand up and prepare for the night. You go to the barrel and splash water on your face, which makes you even more aware of how much you need a bath. After the night it will only get worse. Your horse is already napping, still too anxious to lay down. I look for a place protected from wind. I use my bag as a pillow, but put my blanket on the ground and cover myself with my cloak. Stay tidy to have a better chance to influence others. Appearance 2 of 5. You don't stand out from the crowd. You won't get much cleaner without a proper bath. You aren't used to sleeping in such harsh conditions, but it's better than nothing. The weather is gentle. Maybe you won't catch a cold. Stars instantly inspire your dreams, both with their splendor and by making you look for patterns and shapes among them. Your job starts tomorrow. I focus on the real goal of my journey. The Merchant Guild wants to take control of this realm. Your wardening duties are secondary. First and foremost, you need to explore the peninsula, learn about the territory, resources and threats, get to know the locals, and if you can, convince them to consider negotiations with Hoflavan, officials and traders. Could the tribes resist the soldiers, or be a threat to the priests of the United Church? Are there any forbidden practices that need to be eradicated, such as blood magic, necromancy, robbery or slavery? At least I have time, 40 days to be exact. I need to be as thorough as I can. Once you finish your reconnaissance, you should speak with Tulia and return to Hoflavan. There, you report back to your employers and get your reward. In the meantime, you have your own goal to pursue. So, looks like I'm going to define some of my personality traits. I have following options. I need to gather some extra coins so I can help a person I care about. Or I need to gather some extra coins so I can retire early and live in prosperity and safety. If I gather enough connections among the local leaders, I'll use them to become a major player in the Merchant Guild. I want to be remembered as a soul who brought peace and order to this realm, a hero. I just want to help people, make this region safer for the locals and the newcomers alike. I need to find a new life for myself. I have a difficult past and I want it to be forgotten. I just want to help people. You can't travel during the night. Press the sleep button to rest. Your half-asleep senses are catching the sounds of the wild forest. Your instincts keep you alert and anxious. There's a pleasant, humid late summer air evens. Late summer air evens it out slowly. You're thinking about your goal, but you need to gather your strength. All I can do now is rest. Sleeping on the ground, your blanket won't be much of a bed and the palisade barely covers you from the wind. Sleeping here will be severely uncomfortable. I cannot choose where to sleep though, I suppose. You're surrounded by sunlight. Your back begs you to stand up. Before you fully wake up, you smell a rose. No, burning meat. Burning, rotten meat. Disgust crawls toward your consciousness. You stand up. Normally, you would dust off your cape and blanket, but your instincts are stronger than your routine. Your horse is looking around nervously. Your bags are where you had left them. You see an open gate. You go outside to see what's happening. Both soldiers are standing near a humble pyre. The man in the shirt looks at it contemplatively. Turia is the first one to address you. Discordia, she greets you with a nod. We use the horse's manure for the flames, so don't worry about cleaning it up. You see a corpse among the flames. It's impossible to tell if it belongs to a male or female, but it was an adult. The burning process won't be over for a couple more hours. A traveler or an undead? The latter, a young one. She lacked the pneuma to understand that she couldn't get inside the camp without climbing. I stabbed her with a spear from a safe distance. She shifts her weight. One more fog and she'd be a real threat. Even now it took a couple of hits to knock her down. Sooner or later, every human shell wakes up, gaining more strength with each soul it devours, and each moment it spends in the fogs. Burning the dead is not just a religious practice, it's a necessity. Villagers, priests, village mayors, even roadwardens. Making a large pyre takes a lot of time, but it saves lives. Turia calls this undead a she. Most Unites hesitate to do so. Time for me to leave. Running away from the reek, huh? I don't blame you. She looks again at the fire. Find us here if you learn what happened to Asterion. We leave once the fall comes, if not sooner. Safe travels. These words make you stop. An old farewell mocked the number of songs and tales. But yet you hear no scorn in Turia's voice. She observes the fire with one hand on her hip, the other one on her chin. I prepare myself for the journey. Use the travel button to see the map and move to another area. You gather your equipment and spend half an hour warming up and preparing your mount, double-checking the buckled straps. Put on your gamson and make sure that your axe is tightly attached to your belt. Then get in the saddle. Halfway Snickers, ready to leave. It's time for you to get to the crossroads, north from here. I need to ride north. Travel forward to continue your journey. Once you've done with the north, speak with Turia to return to Hoflavan. Okay, I have a map that is full of fog of war. And that's it. I can just click on the arrow saying travel north. Even in a later hour, you wouldn't expect to meet any travelers in the valley. The warm summer breeze lures your mount forward, but the serene chirping of birds is quickly replaced by the distracting screeches and gurgles coming from further down the path. You soon find a pack of four-legged griffins. They're larger than foxes, and merge the features of birds and furred beasts. Each one is of a different size, coat and colors, and their temperaments are just as varied. The fronts are covered with vivid feathers, while the rears have darker fur. Their wings are massive, making them impressive jumpers, but they're too heavy to fly. But 2 dozen beasts are yelling, brawling, and chasing each other around, blocking your path. I consider my options. You can't enter the forest blindly. If these or other creatures were to chase after you, the thicket would be disastrous for your horse. There are reasons why travelers stay as close to the main roads as possible, and why adventurers move in groups. Usually the safest approach would be to stay where you are and just wait for the pack to get hungry. It may, however, take up to a couple of hours. You're thinking about your conversation with Turia. You've got a lot to do, and time may be of the essence. On occasion, you can use the Scholar's Education to unlock unique interactions. Dice indicate actions that involve a random chance. I have options to take my axe and hurry the horse. If you ride fast enough, you should be fine. Or I can wait. I'm unlocking knowledge. I mix black powder with glutton that grows nearby and the dried skunk scroll from my back. Once I ignite it and throw it at the griffins, they'll scatter. Most city folk feel aversion toward black powder, and you can touch it with great care. The odor of the plants makes you feel dizzy, but what's more important is that the griffins have wolf-like sensitivity to smell and noises. A few of the beasts turn their heads towards you as you approach the pack with a bag in your hand. You ignite your missile and throw it forward. At first, the creatures surround the source of smoke, but then growl in disgust, even putting their beaks to the ground. They flee, allowing you to continue your journey. You can learn more about your abilities in the character sheet. Character. Discover as a Roadwarden. After years spent on studying old codices and training to help the local villages and to make this region safer for the locals and newcomers alike. Appearance 1 of 5. Cleanliness 1 of 3. No combat experience, no spared animals, 5 undetermined. What does the archive say about griffons? Wait, why don't I get the option for the... Oh, it was a journal, not the archive. Bestiary. Griffins. The scrub griffins are four-legged omnivores larger than a fox that merge features of... That's basically what we just read. The noble ones are rare and especially valued in villages across the Dragonwoods. They can be as large as a horse and as hard to protect homes. As long as they are well fed, there's still more to learn about them. Great. Okay. Return. I climb on the horse and cover my nose. I really need to find a proper alchemy set. Track of your achievement as your journey unfolds. The road splits. According to what the soldiers have told you, you may find a safe inn by turning left. The forest to the right is lush and the trail overgrown. Kids used to have this song. How did it go? The harshest pathway leads to the dragon's lair. Those who search for treasure, do you truly dare? The signpost in front of you doesn't make your situation much clearer. It was put here by someone who can't write, for folks who can't read. Covered in old red paint, it points east. Blood there, as people say. Danger to be found. There's not a soul to ask for guidance. I look at my horse. What's its name? Horse. I don't know. Horsey. I name my horse Horsey. I'm out of creativity for today. Horsey is peaceful as you stroke its mane. Maybe it can help you choose a path, but you've spent many years together. Happy to go on, it takes a couple of steps forward. You spot a few berries, shrubs and wild cabbages, but I still need at least 2 weeks to gain maturity. Okay, so I click travel again and explore the west. That's where the inn should be, I reckon. Horsey trots with ease. Unbothered by the few branches covering the beaten road, the birds' songs and distant howls draw your attention to the forest, which gets sparser and brighter. You spot boars, roe deer and saurians. The sight of a nearby wolf pack worries you, but once you push your hips forward and your palfrey enters a canter, beasts don't even begin in pursuit. The speed alone will protect you from many dangers. You notice a stone tower, taller than the trees. Must be the inn I've heard about. Inns like this one fits the regions traveled by merchants, but you wouldn't expect a place of this size in a forsaken peninsula. The stone and lumber must have been transported from far away, and the workers, guarded by expensive mercenaries, surely lived for many reasons in a primitive hamlet, subsisting on salted supplies. There are seemingly no cracks in the wall, and the building was whitewashed only a few years back. The road is wide and beaten. Dozens of souls could hide, if not in the buildings, then at least in the yard. Expenses and labor put into this fortress were worth many trading ships. 3 armed people are on the ramparts, though you only see what's above their waistline. They're leaning on the parapet, right next to the gate, and you think you notice a glimpse of a smile. They wear gamsons, each one of them dyed differently, yellow, green, and linen grey. They approach the gate. A woman in yellow armor leans forward. She has long, curly, disorderly red hair, pointing in every possible direction. This combination of colors doesn't work at all. In the woods, one would have to shout to draw this much attention. There's still a fair distance between the two of you. He speaks loudly. I haven't seen a horse for years now. I just said that it's weird to see such a large jackals, huh? The voice is young and strong, with an accent that reminds you of the villages spread around Havleman. But no jackals would wear a saddle, I'd say. He exchanges a few words with my guard wearing green, giving you time to move closer. Well, this one here says there really are donkey saddles, say traveler. How hard is it to ride a horse? I'm being playful again. I laugh. You wouldn't believe it, the lessons were a pain. You get off your horse and imitate the silly walk from the day that followed your first long journey, when your whole shell was crying. You illustrate pain as you move your hand from your back to hips, then thighs. In return, the guards tell you about that time when they had to carry their friend with bitten off legs for 3 days straight, through the heart of the woods. Meanwhile, the other guards open the gate. You may be in a good mood, the woman in the yellow jacket smiles at you. Don't go so noisy when you talk to our boss. The man never smiles. He has the word suffering sculpted on his face. He leads you under the roof, under which your palfrey can rest, tethered with a cord to a wooden post, near some old hay. Once you're ready, go inside, speak with our boss. Maybe you're hungry? The other guards take care of... The other guards take care of various chores. They peek at your mount every now and then as they're splitting firewood, cleaning the clothes, weeding the garden patches, and moving chairs. 2 of them are making a rope. We head towards the inn, hearing the piercing scream of a boar from the other side of the yard. I open the door. If you're at an inn in the morning, you can spend the entire day on resting. That sounds good. Entire day of resting, doesn't it? The locked windows make the air stuffy, and the weak fire in the stove hardly lightens up the hall. A muscular man is sweeping the floor near the stairs, but after he glances at you, he leans the broom against the wall and heads behind the counter. You're lucky to show up? His voice is deep and soft, with a city-like accent. He observes you with keen attention, yet avoids your eyes. I have a keg of decent ale, wormwood, bog myrtle, juniper berries, cat's food. He pulls a mug carefully and puts it on the countertop. It's going to spoil soon. Today, maybe. And we don't drink here before the even. I hate to see the good stuff going to waste. His skin is dark, almost purple, rare, even among the southern tribes. And his hair is naturally bluish. His clothes are quite fancy for manual labor. The elegant tunic wouldn't stand out in the city square. I stand at the counter. The planks let out a creak after every step you make, so you slow down a bit. You could swear the innkeeper made little to no noise. Here you go, he pushes the mug forward, but just so you know, my pallet of the north doesn't belong to Havlaman. You can sleep on the floor if you wish so, but if you want a bed or a meal, you have to pay. You may have some leftovers from dinner, but I need to check. I'll be distance. I won't stay here for long, I introduce myself. He nods and fills another mug, this time with water. I guess there's no point in waiting for Asterion then. I'm glad to see someone taking his place. Even my crew here hits the road only if they need to see the heroes of Howlesdale. And they're more than resourceful. A Roadwarden is always going to find work here, in the north, though maybe not on the eastern road. He takes a mouthful of water and drinks it with a pleased sigh. There are no guests here at this time, or hardly ever. I can take a short break. For a brief moment, he meets your eyes. He drinks the ale. The dark room and wooden walls of the mug makes the liquid look as brown as a chestnut. The In spring hits your nose, and the first sip is even too complex, too flowery. As the brewer has used fancy ingredients, the exotic licorice ruins the aftertaste. Now you know why is there so much left. Maybe it takes an acquired taste. The innkeeper nods. I was hoping to see someone willing to patrol the roads. Maybe to help me with a worrying thought I have. Which is? There are brigands in the woods. Our place is a stronghold, so I'm not afraid of an open strike. But they've gotten more active in the last 2 years. One day they may steal our furs, and I've no doubt there's a reason why merchants come here only once. Having bandits around gets expensive. He rubs his hands together, camouflaging his paws. I want you to reach Howler's Dell, northwest from here. It's the largest settlement around. I'm sure you'll get there sooner or later. Ask Thais, the mayor, about Lausha, that bloodthirsty wolf of a woman. I've heard rumors about a raid in the north. Lausha is ready to break the truce with the locals. I'm willing to join forces with them to get rid of her band. He looks at the nearby dragon bone. Not too difficult, right? Just do it when you have a chance. A couple of days won't make much of a difference. I pay you 2 coins when you get back with the news. Fine? I nod. Great, what else do you need? I'm looking for Asterion. Are you now? He goes to the table and invites you to sit down with him. I don't think I'm going to be of much help. He rests his elbow on the tabletop and grunts quietly to clear his throat. But I do want you to find him, so... And ask about his intention. He measures his words. Asterion and I made a risky deal. Well, a very promising one. Last time he was here, he took 50 coins, my half of the investment. He knocks on the table with a fist anxiously. If you get my coin, or at least find out what happened to the guy, and make sure you won't be disappointed after bringing me the news. Could it be that Asterion stole the coins and ran away? He looks at the window and starts to play with a shovel. I just think Asterion ain't the kind of soul that would do such a thing. For him it wasn't much of a fortune. And I risked saying he had earned my trust. Not only mine, you know, it's easy for Roadwarden to make connections. He always had places to go, things to take care of. He rubs the table with a thumb, as if trying to clean an invisible stain. I've asked travelers. Sent a couple of my pals to find him. No real news. I know he stayed in White Marshes for a day and was meant to do something for the people there. It's a village in the northwest. Just stay on the main road until you reach the bogs. Then enter them. You may get there before dusk. So, let me know once you find anything, and we may yet return this whole investment thing. Think about it. I could eat something. Do you have any leftovers? Yes, I feed them to our boar. I won't give them away for nothing. He tells you to wait, then leaves the building for a few minutes and returns with a wooden bucket and a long stick ending with a hook. Go through the gate and turn left. You'll see a bunch of bushes. We need some berries. Bring me a bucket full. You'll be done in half an hour or so. Your horse could use a nap anyway, and I'll prepare something to fill you. The hook is not made of metal or wood. It's a long, curved claw, almost black. I reach for the tools. Half an hour? That's quite a lot for berry picking. Tools are cold, not too heavy. You notice a pair of thick gloves at the bottom of the bucket. The berries are not a problem, the innkeeper smirks. Unlike the snakes. Better scare them away with a stick or move them with a hook. And protect your hands. The little ones won't eat you, but don't get bitten. I'm sure you know how to be patient. Fine, I go right away. You step outside. Horsey is moving around slowly, as far as it thought allowed. You hear the sounds of work coming from the armorer's workshop. I should go outside and forage for berries. The innkeeper knew what he was talking about. He put on the gloves and looked through the bushes from a safe distance. It doesn't take long before he noticed the first serpent laying on a rock somewhere in the thicket. The creatures are not that large, and even if some of them hiss at you or slither closer, the jabs of the hook keeps them at a distance. You don't know much about these berries. They're round and reddish. You wouldn't trust such a color even if you were looking for food in the wilderness. Plants don't have thorns, but the leaves are harsh, so you make sure to thoroughly cover your skin with your clothes. You have to look through many bushes to fill the bucket, but the presence of insects and snakes doesn't allow you to relax. My education could be of use here. I notice a shrub that's not like the others. I add marsh bulbs to my bag of ingredients. One of the bushes in the bag has more berries than the others. They're purple, and as you squeeze one of them, you recognize that these are marsh bulbs. In small amounts, they are added to pies, sauces, and beverages, known for their delicate sourness and sweetness, unique but not intrusive. Still, eating a cup of them will make one sick, if not poisoned. You're surprised to see them in a meadow, far away from a wetland. You could use them at an alchemy table if you can find it. For now, you put a fistful into one of your jars. The others are still a bit greenish. I gather the berries and return to the gate. You've returned to the courtyard. Two of the guards are participating in a friendly skirmish. Their wrestling is accompanied by a crowd. I enter the inn. The locked window makes the air stuffy, and the weak fire in the stove hardly lightens up the hall. The innkeeper is sitting on a stool, looking at the flames in the stove, holding a carrot and a knife without using them. So, you again, need anything? I put his fruits on the counter. Great! He peeks inside the bucket. I've got cabbage stew with a few goose chunks for you. I'd serve it even to merchants if there were any around. The meal is warm and filling. It's well seasoned and not overcooked. And like I've said, I rarely have food to spare, but feel free to ask if you ever stop by. You may be lucky, and I've been cooking my whole life. Thanks. And how did that owl hook of mine work out for you? I see you still have your hands. I give him the hook, I'm fine. Do I have any money? Push with coins. Okay. What do you have for sale? I can go and pick up a few things for you. Apples, nuts, blah, blah. We need to mince. Elk fur I don't need. Its buyer was caught by a pack of red wolves. Nice for a sleeping spot, just as nice for a wall. Soap. I don't have any blades or armor to spare, but if you pay well, you can take one of our crossbows and a bunch of quarrels. A yew-bow, wool cords, and the trigger needs just a little bit of oil. It's as good as you can get without soaking it in magic. Takes a bit of muscle to draw, but even a 16-year-old could handle it. I won't sell it cheap, but I'm ready to give a discount to a helpful ally. Let me take a look at what you have first. Refilling meals, elk fur. Can't buy that. I do not want soap. An oak-based balm that burns skin on longer contacts. Do I want soap? Do I want to smell better? I think so. I buy some soap. You add soap to your travel set. That's all I go outside. We have 11 hours left. I go to the well. Recently renovated wooden roof covers the well from rain and birds. One of the guards is enjoying the cold drink he drew with a bucket and tells you to use only as much water as is necessary. The oak ash soap you own can help you get cleaner. You need 3 pieces of bathing equipment to get more out of this place. What? I wash my shell. Splashing yourself with cold water from a bucket won't take away your smell, but it's enough to remove the tallow and sweat from your skin, or mud stains from your clothes. I step away. I want to travel. Road uphill meanders, slowing you down and forcing you to pay close attention not only to the shadows of the trees, but also to the tight, rocky passages. Can't help but notice a few caves and fine ambush spots. I keep an eye out for any sign of life. Standing in front of the gate, you hear no voices. No tools at work, no steps. Dozens of birds live along the collapsed roofs. Their fluttering, singing, and squawking is free of worries. If you want to travel any further, you need to ride around the palisade. Searching the ruins might take a lot of time. A broken gate in the north will lead you to the village. The sound of a gentle river reaches you from the east, where you see a saggy fence surrounding an overgrown pasture. Behind the burnt building in the east, you see an oddly barren field. I move forward. Explore the southwest part of the village. The buildings, some of which have collapsed, are made of wood, now charred and rotten. You spot claw marks on the I cannot pronounce that. Marks on the wall, especially close to the doors and window frames. They could belong to a dragonling or a large wolf, larger than the grey ones, or a corpse eater. Too many options to make a guess. Yet no beast remains inside. You find the remains of clothes, furniture, odds and ends. Only one object seems to be of use, a basket-like fish trap made of vines and willow branches. If a large fish swims into it, it won't be able to get out on its own. It's quite large, but I can fit it on my saddle. You feel a slight aching in your stomach. Why do I feel an ache in my stomach? My tummy is full. I explore the northwest part of the village. The colorful grass covers the entire fenced pasture. A large stone placed in the middle suggests it could be a playground for ibexes, or maybe it's just an old garden. You see a couple of small sheds, a latrine, and a single building to the south, completely burnt down. All of these places were cleaned out by scavengers. Horsey doesn't want to approach the large ruins in the north. Terrible stench of feces and rotting food scares you off as well. Paths are covered with goblin footprints. Eric, what are you doing there with your footprints? It's daytime, so the pack should be asleep. If the beasts were active, they would try to scare you off or to hunt down your mount. This is their territory, and once they wake up, you will face a furious enemy. I go somewhere else, quietly. Your stomach makes you let out a painful groan. I should go to the field, because I think my stomach might make me do things I shouldn't do in the town. You're surrounded by what looks like a field plowed in late autumn, disturbed by hundreds of rains and snowfalls. There's a few clumps of grass and wet, but a place like this one, abandoned for years, would already have turned itself into a green lea. A barren field? Maybe it was overused, but you would still expect the weeds to sprout. A curse? The path leading west from here ends at the edge of the field, shifting into a meadow, then a forest. In the north, you see a path leading around the palisade. I don't have a way to investigate. The closer you are to the village, and the longer you stay around, the thicker you feel. The taste of gastric juices hits your mouth. Your forehead hurts. You start to stumble. Horsey, worried by the sight, pokes your head with its nose. I walk far away from the walls. Leaning on your mount, you go outside, keeping your mouth shut. After a few minutes, your eyes get clearer. It may be better to leave, or at least to stay away from the village for the rest of the day. You stop and touch your aching stomach. Where do you want to go? I inspect the pasture in the southeast. You don't find a single sign of the livestock that lived here in the past. Any bones, horns, antlers, or dung have already been devoured by the wilderness. Pasture ends at the river. The opposite bank, the meadow turns into a thick forest, impenetrable for a rider. What are the chances that a herd of defenseless animals could get there and survive? The breach in the southern fence wasn't made by some brute force. Find axe cuts in the spots that were ultimately broken away. After all these years, there are no tracks that you could follow. I return to the main road. trouble. What time is it? Still 9 hours left, so traveling into the other direction. The curvy road east is overgrown. Horsey trots when it has a chance, but more often it walks, forced to jump over larger branches blocking the path. The nearby lake is surrounded by thirsty wildlife. I observe the dark forest, ready to react if something jumps at me. A couple of stone slabs were turned into a hut-like shape, one of the ancient chapels raised by the priests of the United Church in the days of a few soldiers and even fewer shelters. The dolmens proved to be especially durable, though the conditions they offered were harsh. The entrance is barely wide enough to let you walk inside. It was meant to keep larger beasts away, including your palfrey. You can't spend the night here. You dismount and look around. I approach the hourglass carved into the stone. The most common religious sign of the city folk, adapted by the United Church, Orders of Truth and the majority of fellowships. It's used in temples and during the funeral rites, but also to decorate codices or jewelry. The winged hourglasses portray the ephemerality of life and the rigidity of time. When possible, they're made of steel, signifying the strength of humankind's determination and innovation. As a member of an Order of Truth, I should bow before the hourglass to honor the brave builders of the past. Or it's but a sign to protect an obsolete building. I step away. Yep, that's what I'm doing. Horsey is observing the area. I enter the chapel. Beams of light get through the gaps between the rocks, but you can hardly see anything. A torch would fill the place with smoke, but a candle will suffice. I wonder how many travelers have sat on the cold rock, observing the entrance and fighting with their heavy eyelids. I look around. Use your keyboard to name objects that you're interested in. Ooh, it's getting really old school here. I'm looking at the ground. Confirm. Even though a part of the ground is covered with a single massive slab, there are parts free of any flooring. You see soil, small rocks, and in one spot you find the remains of charred wood. I look for something else. I'm looking at the charred wood. Can I do that? A part of the floor is littered with the remains of an old campfire, not more than a couple of months old. You see dust, burnt bones, and wood. The wall above the spot is covered with soot. Look for something else. Take bones. Can I do that? You either don't find it or I can't understand. And I look for something else. Bones. Same text again. Okay, I look at the walls. They're all around you. I look for something else. Roof. You see a couple of spider webs. One of the spots in the ceiling is covered by soot. I go outside. Horsey is listening to the leaves carefully. Going in circles. Oh, I have to travel further, I suppose. Neglected path barely finds any space among all the hills, trees and streams. There's a deer on the ground, laying in a red puddle, surrounded by a small pack of creatures which notice your presence quickly. There's about 8 of them, with thick furs and shades of brown, grey and black, and hairless faces with small eyes and large mouths, apparently stained by the blood of their prey. Some of them move on all fours, while others comfortably stand on 2 feet. They're 2 to 3 heads shorter than you, but it's your mount which truly towers over them. And you see how a couple of the beasts take a few steps back, grunting and glancing at one another. The one with grey fur shouts, and the others move toward the rocks and sticks which are piled on the road. They hold them awkwardly, and some struggle to maintain a straight posture, leaning on their new weapons for support. Then almost all of them spread to your left and right, blending with the shrubs loudly. Only 2 of the apes are standing still. I am not prepared to face a pack of goblins, I turn around. Horsey is more than ready to do so. He hardly has enough space to make a swift turn, and the goblin tries to stab it with a pointed stick, but it's too blunt or the hit is too weak to pierce through the skin. The shouting beasts behind you sound victorious, but they would never be able to catch up with the palfrey. I may spend the entire day feasting at such a large animal. I head back to the crossroads. Yep, time to get back to the inn, I suppose. Forest is uncannily quiet. The wild plants you need about 2 more weeks before they ripen. It looks like it's important to make notes of stuff like that. Can I actually take notes? No, I cannot take notes. It's nice that they store all this information in here of stuff I've discovered. I feel that will be really helpful if you have a bad memory like I do, or take longer breaks in between gaming on a session. Yeah, going back to the inn, I suppose. The guard ignores your arrival. As you ride in, the other hunters training with spears and staffs in the courtyard. You hear the sounds of work coming from the armorer's workshop. I head to the armorer. You walk past the wall and find a small open shed, not unlike the stable, but with a humble set of tables, carving tools, hammers, sharpening stones, pincers, knives, and other tools. As long as something can be solved by brute force, this place will find a way to do so. There are 2 people sitting on a long bench. The first one is a male with maybe inch-long hair, a cleanly shaven face, a thin, long yellow tunic, bare legs, and sandals. He ignores your presence, sewing a gamson with great concentration. The second person is a boy, maybe 15, who is wearing the crude outfit of a farmer. He glances at you, but soon returns to sharpening a long dagger. Greetings. The man raises his head, but it's the boy who speaks, focused on his task. He ain't talking. Tell him what it is that you need. The man smiles in confirmation, looks at the piece of garment in his hands, then looks around, shrugs, and returns to you with a raised eyebrow. I look at the youngster, learning the trade, I see. Kind of, he answers reluctantly, but his teacher pats his knee, giving him a harsh look. The kid clears his throat. Yes, but we both ain't masters, you see? There's not a soul to teach us, so once I'm ready, I'll try hunting instead. Fixing things for others is boring. The man grunts a sound, though you don't understand it. Seeing your face, the boy chuckles. He said, safe. Let's meet in the middle. Boring, but safe. The man nods. Could you patch my clothes if they were torn? He shakes his head and points at the uneven seams on his own tunic, then grabs a crude bow needle and shows you its broken head. He wouldn't even if he had the tools, says the boy, but you can try and haul or stell or gale rocks. I'm in need of your services. New trader unlocked. He nods, points at the laces in the front of your jacket, raises his clenched fingers to his shoulders, then gently spreads and lowers them as if he's taking off a rope. You follow his command and allow him to properly inspect your gamson. After a few minutes, he gives it back, then reaches for his pooch. He pulls out one dragon bone, shrugs, then another one, and waves both of them in the air, pursing his lips. He makes a few speech-like noises with his empty mouth, crowning what sounds like I don't know. I consider his offer. In 1 hour, your jacket will be carefully patched up for 1 dragon bone. Yeah, I can do that. Your jacket is as good as this armor can make it. I leave the shed. I approach the guards. The woman in yellow armor is kneeling next to a brown, hairy boar, which is resting on its side. The beast is not as large as the dark ones from the forest. It responds to the touch of the human's hand and brush with grateful grunting and rapid twitches of hind hoof. No matter how friendly it appears, it's still tethered to the well, and you have no doubt that its charge would leave Horsey dead in a breath. When the woman notices you, she steps forward to the boar's disappointment. So, the new Roadwarden? She points at a window with her chin. Forestalling the question. We don't need anything now, but when we travel with our furs, we can use some assistance. Maybe around 30, but her warm voice and bright smile are camouflaging the touch of time on her unpowdered face. What a beautiful sentence. Like many red-haired people with freckles, her skin is unhealthily pale. Boar runs up to her, observing your boots and fruitlessly sniffing for food beneath the beaten ground. She pats its back, but maintains her focus. How about a game or two? We have a bit of time and can talk about this and that. Maybe you'll get a couple of coins, or lose one, she winks. You could play dice, or throw eggs at a target. Eggs throwing, show me what you got. Your revolver and especially the dragon bone you pull out are cheerfully welcomed. The guards prepare a couple of wooden planks, which are leaned against the wall. There are also spectators, and you're told that the other hunters are either sleeping or have duty on the tower. Remember, no magic, says one of the players. His face is deadly serious. It's going to be 4 participants and 8 rounds. You aim at the target drawn with charcoal. The person whose axe lands the closest to the center of the circle gets a point. Axes that fail to stay in the plank don't count. The person who has the most points at the end of the last turn becomes the winner. I blend in with the group. You talk a lot, but also don't say much. You share casual jokes, memories, and views on luck and optimal strategies. Horsey and Julia's camp are also brought up, but when you ask about the roads or the locals, their stories are vague. The drinks are here. It's a poor beer made from the leftovers after the regular brewing. It's cold, sweet, and doesn't reach your head, but you try to avoid the smell. Just don't spill anything, the boar may get sick, says the opponent with one arm. As a guest, you start with the first throw. Your axe flies well, hitting the very middle of the painted target and piercing the blank with a pleasant thud, which makes it really difficult for the other players to outperform you. A minute later, you've won the first round, but you can't expect to be that lucky every time. All I can do is try my best. After a long series of misses, you finish with 1 point, the second last place. You give the gasping winner your dragon bone. Cheers, he says, but doesn't make a big deal out of it. The light-hearted comments of the other losers lighten up the mood, and the guard in yellow armor approaches you with a smile. I have a job for your crew. There are some goblins in the nearby ruins that pose danger on the road. As long as it involves someone paying you for it, I'm ready to listen. What do you know about the pack? Without interruptions, you tell as much as you can. Getting rid of them will do the trick, sure, but as long as those buildings ain't razed to the ground, new beasts will move in, sooner or later, though I ain't one to stop you from reaching into your pouch. A brief smile crooks her lips. Now, you need to take care of some things first. Hunters or not, we won't raid a lair blindly. What do you want me to do? She lists your tasks one by one. In the meantime, bending forward to brush the boar. Make sure you've looked around the entire village. The crew will get mad if it turns out that yet another lair is just behind the corner. Then be sure there's no soul around. When we fight, we don't do rescue jobs, and if we do, they cost a lot. The boar grunts and turns around, leading her to its other side. Speaking of which, for you it's going to be, she squints her eyes a bit, 30 coins. Why don't you take some of the loot we find? You won't let go of magic swords and rings just because. Not that I expect any, she straightens up. But who knows? I don't have the 30 dragons that she asked me for, and I haven't fully explored the ruins yet. We'll return to it later. 4 hours left. I was foraging for berries for the innkeep. He chuckles. So I've heard. Don't worry about it. Usually we forage by ourselves, but he wouldn't ask you for a dragon for a meal. He gives small jobs to people all the time, just to see who agrees to do them. Wants to judge who's of use and who's too proud for their own good. I have some questions about this place. No much to tell, honestly. There are many beasts around, both wild game and dangerous monsters. We spend our time surrounded by these walls, leaving only to hunt, forage, or trade. That's an unusual tower. I should get used to reading the questions before I click on them, because then the text is gone. Like in Haflaman? Fair, but it ain't here to protect the gate. This stronghold was built long before we moved in, not to fight off humans. The tower was meant to be used by those who observe the deep forest. We look out for fires, dragons, and any winged creatures that are looking to roost on the roof. Molly, she nods toward a man, indeed, is completely bald. Has a great eye and sees well even in darkness. Your group seems to be quite attached to this boar. How could you not be? She crouches and raises the boar's head, but it steps away and squeals as if someone's murdering it. It came with us from the city, just in case. We had no clue how our first winter would go, so we needed some backup meat. And it works, too! Cleans the dirt. He reaches out to the beast again, but it trots away. The woman straightens up with a pleased sigh. We haven't needed to eat it so far, but it's also funny. I learned in my home village that farm boars are getting a bit smaller and more cuddly, kind of like ibexes, so it's not such a wild, dangerous beast. But we don't let it get close to other animals or children. Any interesting creatures living nearby? Ha, here? Everything lives here. He flips her hair. I swear, we saw a few dragons, a unicorn family, a battle between trolls and goblins. Faced 2 beastmen, oh, and a gargoyle and a hunting queen, shouts all the time. I could tell you all about them, but I won't. He winks and pets the boar and said, you know, hunters have their secrets. What do you usually hunt for? Anything we can eat or sell. If there's partridge, a squirrel or a rat, we don't complain. But when we move as a group, we look for something larger. Deers and aurochs are delicious, but we won't always look for taste alone. There's value in bones, antlers, claws, tusks. Things people use to make tools or sculptures. We use some of them to make tools and spears. You can never have enough spears. He pauses and looks at a strand of her hair, then suddenly speaks up again. And we look for furs, of course. Have you heard anything about the necromancers? Something new, her voice lowers to a whisper. I've never been to White Marshes, but over there we've seen people moving away from there, south. They told us that the place has changed too much. A priest died, I think? The new one awakens the dead. Sorry, Roadwarden, that's all I know. If she's hiding something, she sounds convincing. What can I find north from here? I'm sorry, we don't really go those regions. We stay close to home, only sometimes move south or west. To Howler's Dell, but only to trade. They're fine with buying more than they need, since they then take wares to the coast. She takes a long breath, twirling her hair and gathering her thoughts. You know what? I've never seen a beach. I've been living here for how many? More than 10 years now? He giggles. The only part of the sea I've seen was from Old Pagos, which is placed on a hill. I've never put a toe in salt water. He looks toward another huntress who confirms that her experience is the same. But Old Pagos is a good place. As long as you don't mock their order and act nice, they also be kind. Boss says they're too serious for him to stand them, but at least they don't bite without a reason. Thanks. Oof. We are day 1 and have 39 days before autumn. I wonder how long this demo is. Away. The guards. Tell me about yourself. Yeah, this is a really text-heavy game. I like the typical text adventure game stuff when you have to type what you want to do and kind of guess what could be of interest. But this has been only this really small hut so far, and the rest is just clicking and reading. It's exhausting a bit. Oh, what was that? After a brief giggle, her voice gets cold and serious. Nah, Roadwarden, we use names and stories among friends. You ain't one. Don't make me tempt curses. I'm looking for knowledge about wild creatures. Well, I told you our knowledge is valuable. I don't know. She looks at her boar, which seems to be obsessed with a chunk of grass growing next to the wall. 15 dragons, no less. Is there a discount for friends? Well, depending on the friend, she gives you a radiant smile. Let's say 14. If it's too much for you, maybe ask me after you spend some time around. Show us what you're capable of. Or play dice with us when you have an hour to spare. These folks here, she starts to whisper and points with her thumb at the guard's bed. They crave gossip. Ah, I walk away. I enter the inn. Actually, maybe I try going back to the goblins. To give them their information. Goblins are still around, resting near the bones and flesh of their prey. They are already spread around and ready for combat, alerted by the familiar sound of hooves. This time running away may be too difficult. The axe is in your hand. I can charge at them, I can scream at the pack and shaking my weapons. I can throw them food, I can look behind me. I throw them some food. Reach for a food ration, cut the linen sheet with your blade and throw the fruits, nuts and meat in a couple of directions, but mostly towards the goblins on the road. They step back. Then glance at the food laying in the deer's blood and look back at you, showing the tusks. They don't seem... Oh, right. They just ate. That was dumb of me. They don't seem hungry. Then you get stabbed in the back. Literally. You turn around, seeing a goblin that, as far as you can tell, was not a part of the group surrounding the carcass. It's holding a wooden spear, or rather a pointed stick, longer than the creature is tall. Your armor was able to reduce the impact, but you feel the pain from it, and you can tell that the linen was torn. You need to find someone able to fix it. You wonder how many of them are still hiding among the trees. I can't win, I can't run away. I rush horsey forward. Your mount speeds up, though it doesn't have enough space to enter a gallop. You prepare your weapon, but while you feel somewhat comfortable with a blade when on foot, fighting from a saddle is completely unfamiliar to you. The younger goblin attempts to stop your horse, but the strike it receives sends it into the nearby bush, screaming in pain. The grey one, however, manages to grab your boot and is now trying to keep up with your speed, making one long leap after another. The first strong swing of your axe wasn't able to reach the target. A spear would do better in this scenario. I have to ride faster. Put your entire trust in your horse, trying to endure the pain in your ankle and focusing on the reins. Horsey does it best. And after your encouragement, it jumps, making the goblin lose its balance and roll over the road. Your leg hurts a bit, but it's free and the road is clear. We ride as fast as we can. For a few moments you hear the angry shouts and screeches, but soon after that, it again, only you and your mount. Time to see what we're going to find down the road. So did I charge through the group of goblins? Will I have problems coming back again? We'll see. A round pine tree blocks the road. For a wayfarer, walking over the thin branches at the top is not much of an issue. Even Horsey, led on a rope, could walk around the stump, but the large wagon couldn't move onward in one piece. At least not without detaching the mules, unpacking all the wares, and moving everything by hand. Cutting a tree into pieces would take hours, even with proper tools, and you can't hope to move it with just the muscles that you and your mount have to offer. Ah, 3 hours before dusk. I spent some time setting up a fish trap at the bank. You place the basket on the ground, then grab a bowl and start digging, looking for a few larger worms. You bait the stick and push it inside the basket, locking it between the sides, then cover the entrance with a lid. Tying it together takes you a few good moments, but will be easier later on. You tie the rope to a rock and push it into the river, far enough that it sinks entirely. Who knows how long it will take before something large enough swims inside. Still, it will be better to not wait for too long, otherwise the prey may die of hunger. I want to look around. What do you investigate? The wagon. Planks are still firm and there's no mustiness in the air. but the vehicle needs just a push to fall to pieces, like a child's toy with nothing to keep the parts together. There are ways to construct a wagon with just wood, leather and fiber, but you find the marks of hinges, braces, nails and clamps, which are now all gone. The wheels are missing their steel rims. You find only one linen bag, empty and moist. You can't estimate how deep the tracks are. The ground was hard, so the cart's weight wasn't a significant factor. Look at the surrounding area. I walk deeper into the wilderness, searching through the shrubs and trees. You don't find any side paths, nor remains of a camp or a hamlet. The first game trail you find has been used exclusively by animals. Taking a look at the tree. Oh fuck! I clicked too fast. Can I look at the archive now? The leaves are not completely dry, and when you break one of the twigs, it still contains water. There are no signs of sickness that you can recognize, and the termites and other bugs are still sparse. Beneath the trunk, there is no blood, no abundant limbs. Anyone sounds a weird clicking? That's a frog, I think. And the one me sneezing again. Take another look at the tree. The road here is already being overgrown, fading away, but it's in no worse shape than the other parts of the southeastern route. No alternate path has formed around the blockade. I think I know what happened here. What do you think has happened to the tree? It was cut down to set up an ambush. Why was the wagon abandoned? The owners had no time to move it, so they left it behind. What was originally transported on the wagon? I have no idea. Valuable merchandise? Maybe? What happened to the owners of the wagon? They turned back. Do you think that the tree was cut down to set up an ambush? The cart, which transported some valuable merchandise, was left behind by the owners, who had no time to move it. Its owners turned back. Are you sure that it's most likely what happened? I actually have second thoughts. That's a fun type of investigation, actually. In the trampled grass, you find two sets of tracks to follow. There are no hoof prints. The first set is near the destroyed wagon. The wayfarers suddenly stopped. You can see where they made a sharp turn. The second trail is close to the tree stump. Most of the marks were left by flat, cheap boots, not suitable for long walks, but someone was wearing hard, white heels, distorting the ground. Both trails avoid the eastern wilderness. They stick to the main road and lead you north. They could have belonged to 2,000 people, maybe more. You followed them for a bit, but lose them once there's no more mud and tree needles to find. It would only take 2 steps to disappear in the deep water. The rocky bank smells fresh and is filled with the sounds of rocks, insects and birds. Not a good spot to quench your thirst. Beds of long carp, pulled by the flow of the river, are crowded with fish and four-legged creatures that you don't even recognize. You keep an eye on the land. There's no carcass in sight and no signs of shells that would be left nearby. Gosh. There are no berries left, only broken twigs, fallen leaves and rumpled grass. You notice a pointy arrow made by a human hand, with a head made of horn and black-orange fletching. These feathers originally belonged to one of the local pheasants. You see no arrow marks around, not even on the wagon. The rocky wall isn't much of a challenge. The top of the hill is covered with short grass and sparse trees. You notice a couple of bushes with a good view of the road, just next to the remains of a campfire. Charred pieces of wood, ash, bird burns, crumpled grass, and a broken earthenware bottle. You follow the deepest tracks leading to the edge of the soft earth. Someone jumped down, or at least stopped stepping on the grass. Yeah, I think my story was correct. It was cut down to set up an ambush. It was attacked by highwaymen. Valuable merchandise. It's impossible to tell. I'm sure. But you can't be sure of what really happened here. You don't think there's much left for you to find. Let's hope you haven't missed anything. I consider washing myself in the river. The river is full of life, not only a bit brown and greenish, but also smelling of algae. It won't help you much. The oak ash soap you own can help you get cleaner. I step away. How do I get to my fish trap locations? The list of fish traps you already set up. Sealed on day 1, last checked on day 1. Interesting mechanic. I seek shelter. It's too dangerous to stay here. You can't sleep here, but there's still time to travel to a safer spot. You can find the closest shelter at Julia's camp. The pyre is no more. The stench barely lingers. The soldiers are preparing bowls of gruel. Tulia welcomes you with a nod. Still alive, I see. I have more questions. What happened to your squad? The man shrugs. Bandits happened, and monsters, a strong band though. His companion chips in. When we got to the peninsula in spring, we saw some people living in this camp. The old lieutenant decided to avoid it and looked for an inn. He had to travel through the night for a bit. The bearded soldier scoffs and crosses his arms, but she carries on. If he had decided otherwise, we would all have died that day. The innkeeper explains that the camp is a trap, that the armed ones pretend to be soldiers. Stay there at night, lose everything you have. Sounds like slave hunters. Julia sighs. Very much so. They killed some and took others away. Who knows where? They were letting the northerners go, hoping to avoid their wrath. It kind of worked, adds the soldier. We asked them for help, but they refused. We had to clear the entire camp on our own, and that's why 3 of our people died. Don't exaggerate. It's not like the lieutenant didn't make a mistake. He wanted to get rid of them and take over their camp. But we didn't know our animal well enough. We were outnumbered, and they had an ice mage among them. She looks at you. At least we cleared the road, saved lives. You mentioned monsters as well? Nothing that would surprise you. Those of us who survived the skirmish were young, too inexperienced to spend a summer in this place without a good leader, and they didn't trust me. One of them got caught by a trend. Another one ignored my orders to perform some sort of ritual hunt, so a werebird tore her to pieces. The last one tried to act tough, didn't tell us that he had cut his hand while cleaning his gamson. She lets out a ghastly chuckle. We had to cut it off, and he was so ashamed that he decided to walk north. Find a new life. Disappeared. Idiot. What a colorful journey, the soldier said memory. You've made this place safer. Barely. Julia seems tired. And he knows if it was worth the lives and effort. Sure. Okay. I actually think I'm done with the demo for this game. It's been almost 2 hours. I'll see what happens when I sleep. One more time. Like most people, you wake in the middle of almost every night. Before your second sleep comes, you spend an hour or 2 taking care of your belongings, shell and soul. Some people spend this time with their friends, families or lovers, but your routine is different. If you don't have to take care of essential tasks, spent some time outside, observing stars and listening to the wild creatures. There was once again some personality-defining selection, I suppose. Your bag begs you to stand up. A monkey, much larger than your head, with brown and yellow fur, is running on the beams of the wall, but disappears once it notices your gaze. You prepare horsey for the journey ahead. Yeah, that's been one day in Roadwarden. There is a lot of reading, and I'm not sure about the story. I've saved game slots. That's sweet. I cannot save them though, but they have a date at least. Not sure why A and Q and numbers when I cannot name them. Part why I'm not that invested into the story might be that I only ever, remember half of it when I'm reading it out loud. It's very exhausting for me to read out loud and take track of stuff at the same time. I do enjoy the mechanics in theory. I just would like, a quarter of the text. Or something like, I don't need a page of text with a description how I put up the fish trap, That's too much fluff for my need. But yeah, I like that they have different mechanics. They have these putting the story together part we saw, and we have the text choices that apparently can have different outcomes based on my stats. I think that was the meaning of the dice before, even though the game never tells me, the odds or something. I enjoyed the free typing because that's what I know from classical text adventures. I like all these menu options I have. I like that the journal fills up. I like that it takes notes for me. That's very helpful. Stuff like that it tells me where my fish traps are really fun. I think this might really a good blend of modern mechanics and old style idea of a game. I don't think it's a game for me personally. I just don't have the time anymore to read so much on the screen. And actually, I wouldn't even need the supplemental images on the left, I think. But then again, I feel something would missing if they weren't there too. This would be a perfect phone game. Yes, you're right. Do you think it would be a good phone game? You would, go on a screen for like 10 minutes. And because it has all these journal options, you could still read up what happened last time you played and what you were about to do. This is really an interesting thought. I will have to investigate if there are other platforms in planning for this game. It's fairly new. It just let me have a look at this Steam store page. It just released, September this year, so it's really new. It's probably the most recent game we've ever tried in Game Club, in this new format. And yeah, I was really curious about it too, because it was in my Twitter, gaming Twitter a lot. Have you heard about it, Eric? let me try. I actually wanna try to build like a I need to implement like a stream cooldown timer, so like I'm talking for 2 more minutes and then the stream will be off or something, but I can't do it on the fly right now. You read about it when you were on a long indie game research quest. Were you researching for your own, you know, game development plans? Have you had an idea you wanted to see how others did it? Or was it just for, you know, trying to find a game to play? Yeah, I was curious and wanted to see something similar that I wanted to do. Yeah, you know, I've still got, you know, 1 or 2 game ideas of my own. I know that research hole. But yeah, I'm really glad I tried this game. And not sure what we will try next. I'm really done with this demo for now. I'll try to write my thoughts down in the game club and on Twitter. And thank you for hanging with me. And see you on Thursday for the next game. Have a nice day. Bye bye.